Hello, hello. It is the second episode today, and today it's Keeping It Real Estate. And in this episode, I interview Mortgages Vieira. So I'm interviewing Natalie today, and we'll get started in a few minutes. So we have the standing once a month topic, and we talk about trending items or educational items with regard to mortgages and those hot topic items. So, as always, if you have questions, feel free to ask so that we can prep for the next session, or we can ask in the session if you have time. So we'll give it a few minutes until my guest shows up. Oh, I don't know what's going on. We'll give it a few minutes. Hi, Natalie. I sent you an invite.
Hold on, let me turn my camera.
There
There
you
we go.
are. Love the makeup.
How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I have my other phone on a Facebook Live, so I just thought of doing two things at the
Oh,
same
wow.
time.
That's cool. Thank you. I don't have, apparently, there's an app you can get
Hold on,
to
let me put the
stream.
volume higher. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Because I have the
yeah.
AC on in the back. I can turn it off.
No, no, no. We can hear you okay. No worries. Yeah, I don't have,
Actually, I'm going to turn it off.
okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
That way I can hear you better. Such a
Okay.
hot day today, isn't it?
It's beautiful. I mean, it's hot, but it's beautiful. We've been waiting a long time.
Not complaining, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So thank you again for doing the session. I really
Yeah, my
appreciate
pleasure,
it.
as always.
Yeah, so we'll get started. Perhaps just introduce yourself in case we have new viewers, your Instagram handle, and who you are.
Sure. So my name is Natalie Vera. I'm a mortgage agent with Dominion Lending Centers. And my Instagram handle is at Mortgages Vera.
And it has an extra alphabet in it.
Oh yeah, a lot of people misspell my name, but I mean it's a foreign name, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
Vieira.
that's it. All right, so we'll get
Yeah.
started. So a lot of home buyers, maybe seeing like lower rates advertised, and then they get their mortgage approval and they are very disappointed. So, what can you tell us, like, about this? Why banks are advertising these low rates, and then um, if they can't offer it to everyone across the board.
Yeah, so the way I would explain it is that when you go on a first date, you always put your best self forward, right? You put your best clothes on, and you're gonna get maybe your hair done, your best shoes, for us girls, makeup. So it's the same way. The way lenders advertise their rates, they're gonna put their best rates out there. And sometimes it's a bait and switch, which basically, it's just luring the clients to, maybe click on their site in order to get you to fill out some information on their website. So then, it could be a pre-approval, but it's not really a pre-approval. It's just a way for them to follow up with you. At the end of the day, a lot of lenders can't offer the best rate, quote unquote. So a lot of factors that get you the best rate is actually not up to the lender. It's actually up to the borrower. I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
have great credit and you have, low debt, then yes, you may get a really good rate. But there's a lot of factors that go into a mortgage. So, for example, about a year ago, at the beginning, I guess, of the pandemic, in the first 6 months, there was a lender that was offering like a 0.99% interest rate when everybody else was, 1.5. Some lenders were, you know, could go a little lower.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that a lot of the times it's a high ratio mortgage, so it has to be mortgage insured. And then there's other conditions that can come with that. For example, they may want you to keep your money, I should say, in at the bank, so that basically they can invest your money. So they may say, okay, you need to keep $100,000 at our bank, you know, for the time of the mortgage, basically. Um, and they may also say that you have to have a mortgage of at least 500,000. So there could be a lot of conditions that come along with that rate. So at the end of the day, yes, if you have a perfect credit score, and yes, if you have a lot of money that you can keep in their bank, you're going to, and low debt as well, you're going to qualify for a really good rate. But not everybody falls under that bracket. So it's always a good idea to consult with a mortgage broker who's going to look at your situation as uniquely as you are and be able to offer you the product that's best suited for you and your situation.
Awesome. So, yeah, there are so many factors, and I think people tend to, when they're applying for a mortgage, I think they forget that all of these factors actually make up what you end up getting. As you mentioned, income. If you're self-employed, there's a few more boxes to check. Uh, you know, yeah, absolutely. There are a whole bunch of factors. So,
Lots of factors. So it's a debt to income ratio. I mean, if even if you make a lot of money, but you have a lot of debt,
mhm,
you may not qualify for as much mortgage as you would like. Because at the end of the day, if you're having car leases and you're making monthly payments, you have or high credit, your score could be affected. So that it's so many factors. So understanding that is where it's at. Always finding ways to get better at your credits as well as paying down those high interest loans that you may have.
yeah, no, absolutely. Like we tell buyers, don't show up with a new car right before you close, right? Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
don't buy the new car right before you close.
Just wait a bit.
Buy
Anyways,
if you have to buy used. Don't buy new.
it's about the credit, especially these days. Anyways, so let me then ask you, let's talk about refinancing a bit because with
Yeah.
with a lot of equity in people's homes currently, we're still seeing that. Um, when's a good time? Like, what should people know about refinancing? And
So refinancing is basically just taking your mortgage and getting a new one. So you're just switching for a whole new one. You have to you have to incur legal costs um, to do that. It's a little bit less than, a normal mortgage, a couple $100 less if you were to get like a purchase.
mhm,
And of course, you don't have to pay the land transfer fees. You just have to pay the registration fees, and a lot of the times, if that's already insured, you don't have to worry about getting insurance. So, you're paying about $1,000 to refinance in legal fees.
Okay.
Now, if you want, there's a lot of different reasons why people want to
Mm-hmm.
refinance. Okay. If they have a lot of credit card debt, like high amounts, obviously you have to look at which debt you're going to pay off, right? And in order to consolidate your debt, it's a good way to refinance that mortgage. Um, but keeping in mind that you have to find out how much penalty you're going to be paying to break that mortgage.
Yeah.
If you have a variable interest rate, it's typically 3 months interest. If it's a fixed rate, they look at the IRD, which is the interest rate differential.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, is what money could have they earned on your money from the time that you took out the mortgage to the end of the term. So they have to look at that, and they're going to charge you. So it's not always a good idea to break that term. Um, Variable rates are attractive. They have always been, especially now. And if you're able to sort of keep an eye on, your mortgage and not really be panicky about it increasing over, a 3, even a 5-year term, you can end up saving thousands of dollars. What I,
Okay.
we talked about this before. What I tell my clients is, pretend that, that you did qualify for fixed interest rates, let's say at, 5.2%, but you got a variable rate at, 3.2. How much money that you would have spent on a fixed term and save it and then put it towards your principal.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
or you could just have it as an emergency fund should, the rate increase like drastically. Um, so, paying off a debt, credit card debt, very important, but it has to make sense. As you know, I have a great app that will look at the two scenarios to see if it would make sense. Um, there's other reasons, like if you're going through a divorce, you need to either sell. One person usually stays in the home, so you would need to refinance the mortgage. You want a better interest rate. And basically, if you have other expenses such as, kids are going off to college and you really, or university, you really want to help them out by paying for their education, or helping them out with their down payment, which is becoming really common nowadays. So parents are refinancing their mortgage in order to help out their kids. And if it makes sense, it has to make sense. The numbers have to work. Obviously, we are always making sure that that person is not going to have, a high risk, and that's going to be saving money at the end of the day.
Yeah. And this is the thing, I think uh
Hi, Janet. My mentor is watching me, making sure that I say the right things.
oh,
She taught me everything I know.
oh my goodness.
She's the best.
Awesome. Thank you, Janet, for joining and for watching. Um, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, money is such an important topic, and I think sometimes some people are very good with it. And some people, I think if they don't pay enough attention to it, will go away. Like the issues will go away. And I say, pay attention to the money. Like, ask questions, right? After all, it sounds great when you're doing something like, credit card. I mean, the one thing I taught my daughter was if you buy something on a credit card, you need to pay it off because, a couple of times I told her, check out how much they charge you on interest, and you could have bought an extra something with that. So if you can't afford it, don't buy it, right? But I know it's easier
Yeah.
said than done. And some people get into, a little bit of a pickle. So, yeah, thank you. That was great information. And the toolbox, the mortgage My Mortgage Toolbox or my
My
tool?
Mortgage Toolbox.
Yeah, that's the app, people. If you're looking for the app, it's My
It's
Mortgage
the cheat
Toolbox.
sheet. I call it the cheat sheet because
It's
you can just
excellent.
calculate everything and it gives you the answer within seconds.
Yeah, I did a little
Yeah.
reel as well on using that tool. I did a reel just to show people the difference on rates and stuff.
Hmm.
So it's actually great. It's a great tool to kind of help you work through some numbers. If you have questions about that, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's a great piece of advice for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, so first time home buyers, I think are the ones that have the most questions, obviously. The ones that will have, will be a bit more cautious, really need to understand the whole process, which can be overwhelming to some. But what I tell my clients is really, you know, do the research on what it is that you're getting into. It is the biggest purchase of your life, um, and it's got to make sense to you. So first of all, someone should be financially educated in order before they sign that agreement.
Mhm,
Um, Ask a lot of questions. If you have a mortgage broker, that's what they're there for. They're there to make sure that you understand the whole
mhm,
process, that you're comfortable with the whole process. So really just, you know, one thing that I tell my clients is that your money sitting in a bank is not really doing too much, right?
mhm,
We all need a place to live, and I know with the increasing rent raises, we'll get to that in a minute,
mhm,
I think, um, because there's like no rent control, so it's been a bit difficult for first time home buyers to get that down payment. But really watching their money, just creating a budget and save as much as possible. um, the rule of thumb, I think, is 32%. You can go even more than that, do it, while at the same time paying down your debt, of course. So banks, they actually like you to not be as educated when it comes to money because it makes sense for them. It's
mhm,
advantageous for them to have your money in their hands. But at the same time, when they have a lot of money, it's a liability for them. So what do? They invest that, and we all know compound, the compounding interest and, having, your interest that you pay when you're investing your money. Say like you have $1,000 and you're getting 5% on
mhm,
$1,000, that's $50 for the first year, for example, but the next year you're getting another $50 because that's another $50 on top of that 50 because it's compounding,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Um, and you're making money, you're making interest on the interest that you have. So that's why I think at the end of the day, real estate, um, it makes sense to get into the market. Yes, prices are outrageous in our city and it's hard to get into, but it's so well worth it because if you have money just sitting in the account and talk to a mortgage broker, come up with a plan if you have to. There's financial advisors out there that do a really great job as well in helping you through that whole process. So we're here for you at the end of the day. We're here to help you.
Yeah, and honestly, I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers and I deal with a lot of move-up buyers. And my whole point is, I get them as first-time home buyers, and of course they are, they're my clients for life. Um, but there's a huge learning curve, right? And they're very apprehensive and they are afraid. And honestly, when you look at the rates that people pay for rents these days, right? I mean, and then there's picking and choosing. Like I had one client who had who actually had put an application, but the person actually didn't select the application. And on the face of it, they did have a good credit score, had good earnings, and people are like just deciding who they want, and it was hard because the wife was pregnant, and it was a long story. And so what I say to people is that, look, if today is not the day you're buying, let's put a plan together so that you work
Hmm.
towards it, and you put those steps in place. And I appreciate, because I work with you and a few others who really kind of do a lot of work on the front end of it, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you for that. Um, but let me ask you this question. There seems to be some home buyers that are sitting on the fence at the moment. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so going back to, just consulting with a mortgage broker to find out, because I think it comes down to the confidence of your profile. Um, when my clients have a pre-approval in their hands, it's a different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
They feel a lot more secure, a lot more confident. They're able to, just feel like they're more ready, because it's not just about a pre-approval. We're also there educating on the whole mortgage process. So, making sure they know how much they're going to pay in closing costs, and how much they can expect in property taxes. And, there's so many components to a mortgage. So when they start, looking into the whole mortgage, to the whole buying process, they just may feel overwhelmed. They start looking at houses before they get a pre-approval, and then, they feel discouraged because there's so many scenarios that could happen, as you know. And, you know, with the prices that just been through the roof, as we know, it just has not been easy. So, there's different reasons. People may think that, we're going to hit a bubble, and, prices of housing are going to go down drastically, or they think that, there's going to be more supply, so they're waiting, for that as well. So, there's a lot of different reasons why someone would sit on the fence. But, the longer you wait, I think, the more you're going to lose. Yes, prices have gone down. What, you may know this information. What is it, 2 or 3% since last month?
Mm. They said
I
6%,
have
I
it
think.
down somewhere.
I think they
No,
said
1.5. No,
depends on which
sorry.
market you're looking at. Um, you know, uh, Depends on which market you're looking at, really. Um, I mean, the fence sitting is it has many facets, right? It's
Yeah,
the rising interest rates, uh, the election, which is right around the corner. And I think people think there's going to be this bubble and the prices are just going to go, but people are not
yeah.
understanding that there's so much demand, and what people are building is not going to cover that demand, right? Like what's being
No,
built
no,
is, they don't take a look at, hey, these people need X amount of 3 bedrooms or X amount of 2 bedrooms or so many detached houses. They just build random stuff. So um, I think we mentioned it the last time and we talked as well. And so I think correlating, the demand for the need is there's a disconnect there. So I think there's a lot of factors, and people still think that they are absolutely going to see um, this bubble burst. And I think that the prices are going to be like December of last year prices. That 20% that jumped will uh, kind of fizz out a bit, but the prices are not going to tank. And that's
they're
what I'm
not
telling.
gonna. They're
Yeah.
not.
And
They're not. I mean, yes, people will not have as much as borrowing power because of the interest
Yeah.
rates, inflation, goods and services are expensive, more expensive. I mean, we're like 6.8% inflation right now. So it's hard on people, and but just that's why it goes back to know where your money is going to go, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
how you're going to handle that money, making sure that you're putting 30 to 35% of into your savings, and you know savings go a long way, and we can all make changes in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's that cup of coffee rule that goes back, but and just looking at our whole situation and see where we can save money, because we can always find ways to save money.
Yeah, I think we can find ways. I mean, I'm not a financial expert by any means,
No,
but
of course.
you
Yeah.
know, I certainly paid my mortgage out in half the time, and and then you make
Oh,
that mortgage.
awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, because you have to kind of think, you know, strategically, right? Like, do I want to pay this interest or, um, but that's kind of my nature. When I have my eye on the prize, I just have my eye on the prize. That's the way I am.
Yeah.
But in wrapping up, let's talk about interest rates and, you know, what's coming down the pipelines.
Yeah, so there's going to be a Bank of Canada interest rate announcement this Wednesday. And yeah, we're looking at most likely another 0.5%,
Hmm.
50 basis points. And that's going to be another big increase. But it's still not as much
Hmm.
as it's going to be what still behind before pre-pandemic levels. Pre-pandemic levels was so it's going to be 1.5%, which is a quarter below pre-pandemic levels. So I mean, you're still going to be saving some money. You won't be able to maybe buy as much house as you had initially intended if you were looking to buy 6 months ago. Um, you know, but I actually just came from a young couple meeting that wanted to buy their first home, and you know they were like, yeah, I want to buy $1 million home. And I said, okay, um, let's have this conversation, right? Because I think they look at house prices and they think, this is what I need to buy. So, sometimes we kind of have to just, pull ourselves back and say, is this what I really can afford? So, having that conversation and really knowing your buying power is so important before you get into the biggest purchase of your life. Really knowing what you're getting into, and ask a lot of questions again.
Yeah, but I think I think sometimes people forget about those baby steps, right? Like, what we would tell buyers, like you start at one price point. You may have to start in a condo these days, and then you move your way up and you build your equity, and then you move your way up into the next property. And I think that's where sometimes people lose sight of that, right? Like they want to go to all out. And I remember a few years ago, I was downsizing my parents, um, and my mother was insistent she needed a two-bedroom. Like she wouldn't settle for anything less than a two-bedroom. And I'm like, but what do you need the second bedroom? And she kept telling me, oh, what if you need to spend the night? And I go, I have a house down the street from you. Why do I need to spend the night? And she kept
Aw.
saying this, but it was funny because I kept telling her, why are you buying real estate for, um, anyhow, that was a long story. And sometimes what I'm trying to say is people buy more than they need. Um, and it's a want, right? I know the next house I buy will be a want. It's not a need. I don't need anything more than I have, but it will be a
Yeah,
want, right? So, yeah,
yeah,
so I think that's what people, sometimes you just buy more than you need. And I think if you're just starting out, it's a good time to reevaluate what your needs really are. I mean, I grew up in, I only had one brother, but we had to share a room. Like, I didn't have my own room as a kid, you know, we had to share a room. That's just the way it is. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I didn't have to share a room, but I used to, when I first came to Canada, my bedroom was the dining room. So just put some curtains up and that was my bedroom.
so, the only other thing is, you know, when the rates go up for first-time home buyers, obviously,
Yeah.
um, what changes is the affordability, right? Because, well, not just for first time, for anyone who has less than the 20%, right?
Yeah, so
They have
it
to
will be
qualify.
effective. Yes, so let's keep in mind that it's the variable rate, but the prime rate is going to change as well.
Hmm.
So with the fixed rate, it's just been increasing because that's attached to the bond market,
Hmm.
and they were anticipating that there was going to be this rate increase, so they've already been increasing their rates for the last month or two. Um, so I don't think there's going to be too much change when it comes to fixed rates. But I keep getting different emails of increases here and there. So it's definitely up on the up and up. And with the variable, it's tied with the Bank of Canada rate. So if when they do this, make this announcement, it's going to be 0.5%. So you can expect that 0.5% to be added on to the prime rate. So it's going to change from 3.2
Hmm.
to 3.7,
Yeah.
and that's going to be the prime rate. Most banks usually follow that. So I think TD Canada Trust is a bit higher than that, but other than that, most banks usually hover around there.
Hmm. Awesome.
Yeah,
Anyhow, until Wednesday, then we'll pay attention to the market and look for your
yeah.
posts, and it'll be interesting. And I did have some of my buyers get pre-approved. I did tell them, like, you know, get pre-approved, hold your rate. Um, I mean, obviously, if you're doing a variable, that will shift with, but it's about,
It will shift, but
yeah,
still very good variable rates
yeah, no,
in
absolutely.
comparison to the fixed rate.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, yeah, I think people are just, you know, like I said, so used to having such low interest rates, and, you know, no different than some of the sellers who are so used to having their houses sold in like 24 hours or less. You know,
Yeah,
so it's a little
changing
bit of a
times.
shift, you know, so it's,
Welcome to the
yeah.
to the housing market in Canada, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for all of you watching, I want to thank you for taking the time to spend with us this evening. Natalie, I want to thank you as well. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure as always.
Yeah, and don't forget to download the app, My Mortgage Toolbox. It's great. It's a really good app. Um, it has everything. It's a one-stop shop. And tell everyone where they can reach
Yeah,
you
you
again.
can find it on my profile, Instagram profile, and which will have the link to my link tree, and then you'll see it. It says My Mortgage Toolbox, and you can download it for free on your Apple or Android phone.
Perfect. And for all of you watching, my name is Jacqueline Watson. I'm a realtor with Sutton Group. I'm here to grow your business, connect with you, get social, and so let's
Give her a
connect.
call.
Yeah, let's connect.
She's
Let's get
amazing.
social, and let's grow each other and form our own community. So thank you again. Connect with
Thank
Natalie.
you.
Connect
My
with me.
pleasure as always. Have a good evening and stay cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a nice one. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Until next
Bye.
time. Bye.